welcome into a brand new episode of WSI TV. Enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome back to WSI TV. Today we're doing another episode of Informer Spotlight. I'm joined today by Tayler as always, and we're doing something a little bit special for you guys today in honor of the holidays and getting back from Vegas.
Yes.
If you joined us for the seminar, we were so happy to have you. It was so great. Without further ado, I'm going to have Tayler take us away.
Of course, yes. So today we're going to be doing a spotlight on a very specific company that I'm sure you've heard of. We like to call it the Disney Empire here at WSI TV. Whether you're a fan of Disney and its products or not, all things aside, it's really a huge industry giant in basically any industry that you choose. That's the one thing that's very specific about Disney that chose us to look onto it a little bit closer, because there's not really one thing that you can pinpoint. Yes, you can say they're in films and they're in theme parks and attractions and things like that, but when you take a closer look at Disney as a company, they literally have their hands in everything, and that's why they've succeeded on such a global scale and in such the way that they have. So we kind of talk about how Disney is in our backyard, and it's something that we kind of get used to, I think, because you and I were both born and raised in Central Florida, and we're kind of forget that Disney is such a huge company that we've got behind us. So we definitely wanted to zoom in on and figure out what's actually going on there and why they're so well endowed in the way they are. But before we get into that, just to give you a little background on Walt Disney, I actually was a cast member before I was here. So I do know a little bit more than the average person probably, but if you didn't know that Walt Disney started as an animation studio back when Walt was into just drawing and creating films, and he started out with short films, then further moved into feature-length films, with the first one being Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, of course. Then he ventured into theme park business. Of course, everyone knows that Disneyland opened in California in 1955. That is in Anaheim, California, not in Los Angeles, like many people think. And then Walt Disney World, which is actually separate from Disneyland, opened in Orlando, or what we would call Lake Buena Vista, Florida, because it's not technically in Orlando. That was in 1971 that the Magic Kingdom opened in Walt Disney. Walt did not live to see that, but his brother did finish that project for him. And ever since, of course, Disney has been spearheaded by tons of different leaders and different companies that have been incorporated into that umbrella, and they've just diversified ever since, from that first drawing of Mickey that we saw in the way back when. But they do own a whole bunch of stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit more about it, Leah?
Yeah, so Disney owns a bunch of different cable channels, including ABC, ESPN. You may have noticed that if you signed up for Disney Plus, because ESPN is included in that, and you can get a bundle that includes ESPN and Hulu, which is not something they own, but they do partner with.
Yes.
They own the Marvel franchise when it comes to films. They own Lucasfilm, which is the famous Star Wars franchise, and out here at Disney World, we just opened the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars experience, which is this whole expansion of the parks, and then there are other expansions going on. I, for one, am an annual pass holder, so I have sold into
they do have the Star Wars Hotel coming too. That one is going to be connected to Galaxy's Edge, so they're definitely taking advantage of that Lucasfilm partnership for sure.
Yeah, and you can
the ownership.
If you're one of those people that goes out to the park like me.
Yes.
I fell for it, but you can see all these constant expansions, and they're able to do that because they own all these different things.
Exactly.
They also own Lifetime, Pixar, Hollywood Records, Vice Media, Core Publishing, the History Channel.
Yes.
That one surprised me. I did not know that one.
Yes, there are quite a few on here that I actually didn't know either, because you just don't realize the publishing companies. We didn't know about their tech firms on this list, their financial firms on this list, and you would just have no idea that Disney would have these under their umbrella. But it's all just part of a very well-oiled machine, for sure.
Yeah, so they own different channels. They own publishing firms, like you said, tech firms. They have their hands in traveling with the travel experience. It's just such a diverse company, and it's so wide-reaching, and you forget, especially if you're from around here.
Yeah, we kind of forget about it.
It's in our backyard, so we don't realize exactly how far it goes. So in Orlando alone, Walt Disney has 250,000 acres.
Yes, that is how much land.
It's a huge number, and it is its own entity.
Essentially,
it's a city. They're on their own power grid. It's insane.
Yes, they have their own. The Reedy Creek Police Department and Fire Department are totally autonomous to only Disney, and they only service Disney. That is one thing as a cast member you do have to know, because it is very important to know the emergency services. As a cast member, there were 74,000 employees just in Walt Disney World. Just in this little spot in Central Florida. That's not including Disneyland Paris, Disneyland Tokyo, Disneyland Shanghai, all of the other companies, and not to mention all of the things that they own outside of the theme park. So that's an insane amount of people just to be employed, just to keep things up and running. So it's literally a huge empire that they've got going.
Absolutely. And they do have their hands in there in multiple resorts all over the world.
Of course, yes.
Just all kinds of things you don't even think out of Disney property.
Yes.
It's not just the Disney franchise. But today, because it's in our backyard, we're going to go out there and show some of it to you. And
Yes.
kind of put that analytical eye on exactly what makes Disney work.
Yes, exactly.
So we're here to learn the importance of diversification in any company, not just in one that is this successful, but this is the ultimate success story for
diversification. Yes, for sure.
And that counts in any realm, whether it's diversifying your portfolio or diversifying your own business if you are a business owner or would like to be. We're going to talk about real estate holdings because there is this huge, like we said, it's its own entity. There's its own fire department, own electric grid.
Yes.
It's this huge space of land, and then there's multiple other real estate ventures involved with Disney all over the place.
For sure.
And it is kind of a metropolitan hub for Orlando. It kind of keeps our economy functioning.
For sure, yeah.
And then just all those acquisitions.
Yes, all of them, all the ones you've heard about in the news and the ones that maybe you didn't know about. But there is a reason that we're talking about this, and not just because Leah and I are Disney fans. When we look back at Disney's IPO as a public company when they first came onto the market, it was in 1949. So obviously that was a very long time ago, and lots of things have happened since then. But Disney debuted at $3 per share, which is a steal, especially if you had known how big this was going to get, which of course you couldn't have. But we're going to be looking at a little bit more as to how they got a 4,900% increase since their IPO. Recently, Leah and I talked about IPO failures and how the companies of today's world haven't really been doing so well when they do debut on the stock market, which is kind of disappointing. But I think when we're going forward and trying to understand how this is happening and what's going on in that process, it's helpful to look at something where, like Disney, has been such an insane success story from the beginning of their market run to the end.
Yeah, and that's just to repeat that number. That is 4,900%
of a gain. Yes.
Yes. So
and it's still going up.
Yeah, and it's gone up drastically just in the last year because of the debut of Disney Plus. And, the coming out of all these movies. They have several dozen movies coming out every few years.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I think last year the number was 13.
Yeah, they had quite a few.
Disney that were top blockbusters.
Yes. With the Marvel and Star Wars acquisitions, it became that much easier for them to dominate the box office. And then like it's the Disney name in your mouth. Exactly. So that's how they permeate the sphere for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So to tell you guys all about this, to show you guys just how far Disney goes and how much they are diversified, all their different partnerships, all of that, we're going to take a field trip out to Disney Springs. It's one of the free places that you can go to in Disney. There's a lot of different things outside of just the parks on Disney property because it is that big of a space. Yeah. But Disney Springs is one of the best. If you haven't been to Orlando in a while, or if you have never been, it used to be known as Downtown Disney. Yes. That's what I grew up with it.
Me too. Yes.
I still kind of trip over it when I say Disney Springs.
Yes.
But it's recently gone under this huge expansion because it is so successful.
Exactly.
So free entrance, but it has this really great representation of all the different partnerships and acquisitions that Disney has to offer.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
Yeah. Hi guys, we're here today in Disney Springs, which is one of the local Disney attractions. It is actually not a theme park. It is actually a free thing that you can come in and enjoy. There are shops, there's dining, there's experiences. So Leah and I came over down here today to show you guys all the ways that Disney is kind of capitalized on the ways that they have everything here in Orlando. So we looked at the stores, we looked at all the prices inside the stores, and we're going to show you all the different businesses that Disney owns, including quite a few, including Lucasfilm, Marvel, and ESPN, which are some of our favorites that we're going to talk about later. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoy. We're going to take you around for a little bit and you get to see all the sights, and you'll get to know a little bit more about Disney as a company and how they've kind of progressed and done well from here.
Hi guys, like Taylor said, we're at Disney Springs today, and we're going to be talking about some of the big brands that share space with Disney. We have Lucasfilm, like Taylor said, NBA, and Marvel are some of the big ones. But on top of that, there are a lot of smaller businesses, a lot of restaurants, retail shops. All of that is partnering with Disney. We're just going to show you how far the diversification of this company can take us. Hi guys, so we've been taking you around Disney Springs, showing you guys just kind of what it looks like. If you aren't from Florida, you may not have known that Disney Springs was part of the Disney experience. But Tayler and I, as Florida girls, have grown up here, grown up going to the parks. Tayler worked out here, and so we had annual passes growing up. We just kind of immersed ourselves in the Disney experience without realizing what all this fanfare was really about. But today, as we've been walking around with this lens of the financial analyst, we've been seeing just how big this business is and just what a giant Disney is in the business world. And even though this is a huge example of what business can become if you diversify and have all these different partnerships, we're just kind of try to break down what it could be at a smaller level and how to make your business a success if you wanted to be a small business owner, if you wanted to try your hand at diversifying, try a partnership, any of that. But today we are looking at just how much of a well-oiled machine Disney is. We have all these different restaurants out here. It's free to get into Disney Springs, but once you're here, there are all these extra things that you can buy. There's bars, there are restaurants, there are merchandising stores, both for Disney materials and for other stores that just have these partnerships with Disney. Behind me, you can see the hot air balloon, which is kind of an institution of Disney Springs, and it's about $60 to go up in that for a 10-minute ride. People do it, it's always full. There are all these gimmicks out here. There are these really fun little boats that look like cars, old cars that people ride around in, and just all these experiences. There's face painting, those are all in the parks too. And then we were also noticing there are these bus services that just bring these bus loads of people out here, and you'll probably see some of the traffic in our clips of just walking around Disney Springs. And all these buses are coming from the hotels. So people come out here to the real estate that Disney owns, and they stay in these hotels, and then they pay for their entrance to the park, and then they come out here for free and spend more money on all of the souvenirs and merchandise. There's a movie theater out here. There's all kinds of experiences, and it's just Disney is just raking in all of this money from every possible angle.
Yeah, like Leah was saying, so we are out here at Disney Springs today, and obviously this is something that's been in our backyard for quite a few years now. When I was a kid, I remember it was called Downtown Disney and Pleasure Island. It's definitely kind of diversified as we've seen. Leah and I have seen it grow from when we were children to when we were adults. It's changed the atmosphere, it's changed the audiences. We have quite a few clips for the different merchandise that Disney has created for you, whether it's in their own brands or in just other shops that they have here. We've seen it change from a kids kind of little playground for the weekends that you can come and ride the carousel to there are lots of bars and they're open till 2 in the morning, and they do have more adult catered experiences here. So they've definitely really diversified their businesses based on what people are looking for, which is really something that's unique to Disney, I think, especially seeing as they're such this huge giant in the industry. And we really do call it the Disney Empire because they're so unique in the way that they do business. And I kind of think it's not really matched anywhere. And we do have it in our backyard, so we did want to bring it to you and show you all the things that are very specific to Disney. And just because we're fans of the brand and it's something that we can show you as financial analysts, that this is really the best way that it could possibly happen if you were to go into the business. We're going to talk about a little bit about how Walt started out in 1949, and he kind of started on his own, you know, so we definitely saw it grow from the ground up, and you would never think that about Disney, but this literally was just one man's dream, and now look at everything that's come of it. So it literally is a huge company that we're kind of just showing you that this is the best thing that could happen in business. And it's a really fun day, so we hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon. We hope you guys enjoyed that look at Disney Springs. Lee and I definitely had fun going out there recording stuff for you, but we do just want to talk about how Disney obviously has succeeded astronomically as a company, and it's just completely in a league of its own. So we kind of showed you how by diversifying their business and having all the dining, restaurants, experiences, all the different things that you can do, and just in that little look at Disney Springs, that's just one little iota of the Disney empire that it is in Orlando, let alone in the world. So it literally is the outreach, the ultimate success story of it working. So that's the way that if you were looking at what a business model should look like, I think that's not a bad option. You definitely should be looking at how Disney has succeeded, but there are other options for the everyday person like you and I that maybe we're not looking to start a multi-billion-dollar company, but there are ways that you can profit from things if you care about a brand or things like Disney that have become such a big part of our lives just because they're popular culture or because they're films or things like that. So we are going to talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, and before we do, that's what you said about popular culture. I just want to touch on that. One of the biggest things that we noticed going out there today, and it even kind of sucked us in. We both got a little treat while we were out there.
Of course, yes.
Because it was beautiful and holiday themed. So
exactly.
It's thematic and it's current. And then we walked through the World of Disney, which is one of the biggest stores.
They see 500,000 people every day, yes.
So a huge number of people. And it's just everything you could possibly imagine Disney merchandise-wise. There's Disney-specific things, there's non-Disney-specific things.
Yes.
But when we were in there, we were noticing how much Disney caters to popular culture, not just with their branding and their movies, but they push that into what is happening now and what people are looking for. So there was a whole section that was aerobic wear and athleisure.
Yes.
And there's this one shirt that made us both laugh.
Yes.
Mouser-size?
Mickey Mouser-size, yes.
Mouser-size. Because athleisure is a billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
And they steered into that and have been dominating in that too.
Well, you have Nike and Adidas and all those big, very common names that you're seeing at sports stores and sporting goods and things like that. You would never think that Disney would have a foothold in that market, but they do. And that's why they're literally completely separate from everybody else, because you would not imagine that they would have any hold in that market at all. But you're going to see someone in Disney athletic wear at some point. Because they have done that.
Yeah, and they have Disney jewelry. I mean, there's Disney everything. And then they also have all these partnerships with other businesses where it's hands-off, which is what we're always trying to tell you guys how to do. Disney obviously put all the work in to build itself as a business first, but once it did, especially at places like Disney Springs and at the hotels that are on property, there's Hilton's on property, there's other hotels like that are paying to use
that
Disneyland, but it's hands-off for Disney. So they're raking in premiums from all of these companies that are selling their wares there or selling their services there, but they don't actually have to do any of the work.
Exactly.
So it's that ultimate nest egg that we're always talking to you guys about on a very large scale.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But obviously, we're not all going to be able to build a Disney empire.
Of course, yes.
So we're going to talk to you guys today about the ways that you can possibly profit off of the Disney empire. So
yes.
If you want to take it away with that.
Yes, I can, of course. So if you guys did join us in Vegas, you are aware that Lee and I did author a book. It is right here. It is The New Rules to Win the Game of Life. In it, we do talk quite a bit about things that can make you money that you probably maybe never considered before. One of the ones that are personally one of our favorites is making money off of your hobbies, which is probably something you didn't know you could do, especially if you're very crafty, if there's things that you produce. That's a product that you're creating, and chances are there's someone out there that would pay for it. Especially when we look at Disney, they're very specific too that people will buy that merchandise, and because Disney does have quite exorbitant prices at times, we will show you that in the clips that you just saw, but there are moments when maybe you don't want to spend that much money for the official Disney merchandise. There are sellers out there that have crafted their own that you can purchase from, and you could be one of those sellers. There are places like Etsy, which is very specific to selling handmade products. Leah and I are both very familiar with the Minnie Mouse ears that you wear around to the parks. People will make those. That's just a headband and whatever craft supplies that you'd like to buy, and they sell for upwards of $25 each. So those things like that, that's definitely something you could profit off of, and it's very simple to do. If you enjoy being crafty, it's very easy. It's something you would enjoy doing. The only thing you would have to be aware of is, of course, trademark and licensing. But with something as big as Disney, you definitely would just have to be aware that you can't reproduce their intellectual property without their permission, but there are licensing options for you. So that's definitely something you could take advantage of, and it's not specific to Disney.
Another thing that, like the ears, if you aren't super artistic, you could try selling t-shirts.
For sure.
Because that doesn't always require that artistic touch, it just requires the right materials. And of course there is that small overhead for buying those materials, but as someone that visits Disney far too often, one of the biggest things that I see is the group t-shirts when people are walking around the parks.
Yes,
and all of those come from Etsy for the most part. Because people
or someone who's made them for them, you ask.
Yeah, but they're all personalized for the family. So there are these things that are specific to, they have people's names on them. They're specific to the family's last name.
Or they'll have a family vacation one, or the food and wine ones where they drink around the world, those kinds of things. Yes, they're very specific.
Booze, that's my favorite. But there is this huge industry outside of direct Disney property. For people who have the skills or have the time or
the materials.
The drive to start doing this. And it's a very small overhead cost for the materials usually. And then it's a really great way to start selling your wares. And you don't have to be in Florida for this. Etsy ships for you.
Lots of people that I've spoken to, actually, they're looking elsewhere. They're not looking to buy merchandise once they've already reached Disney, because they know that those expenses are going to be there because Disney can charge them. But I've spoken to lots of families where they say, oh no, I bought this at my local store, or someone at home made this for me and I paid them for it. So it really is not specific to your location. We're just using Disney as an example. If you're into Universal, the Peanuts, any sort of brand that you really love, as long as you're within trademark and licensing agreements, the world is your oyster as to whatever you'd like to create and market.
And they've done the overhead work for you by creating this brand. As long as you're working within those trademarks, you're able to kind of piggyback off of that, and you don't have to create and promote your own character. You're just providing the service of giving someone a product that is related to something that they enjoy, often at a better price than what the actual franchise can offer, which means more business for you,
which is always good.
And so sellers that have done this have made upwards of $100,000 a year, and that's a big number.
It's crazy.
And it's for something that you probably enjoy doing. If you are artsy, if you enjoy this as a hobby, you're going to enjoy doing it to get paid for it. And I haven't done it on Etsy, but I've made ears for people with the flowers and everything. And I didn't charge more than $10 because it was for friends, but it's an easy thing to do. You just need some flowers.
Especially if you don't spend $10 on the things that you're creating, that's a return on your investment, and that's what we're looking for here. Especially Disney's return on investment, we have no idea. It's probably some crazy number that for them, it's just numbers on a page. It's the bottom line. It's their balance sheet, whatever. But for you, that $100,000, it's a drop in the bucket for Disney. But for you, that's a second income that's 6 figures. That's your retirement. That's whatever you'd like it to be. And it's as simple as just monetizing your hobby or whatever else you'd like to do.
And there's also many trips to Disney.
It is very many trips to Disney, yes.
So there are lots of options out there for you. And we just wanted to kind of share with you guys this giant that's in our backyard. And kind of analyze their success story and figure out how they got here and how we can bring that to you guys. So we really enjoyed this episode.
We had so much fun.
You guys did too. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching the latest episode of WSI TV. Be sure to visit WSITV.com where you can subscribe for free with no contract and gain instant access to the secrets of self-made millionaires via the WSI TV Vault. So go ahead and claim this gift for free now at WSITV.com.